Ladies and gentlemen, we were pulled over again by the police. But nonetheless, in it all, what's up, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of Don't Keep Up with the Joneses. 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 What's up, beautiful people, to another episode of the Jones Family Channel. It's me, Rickey Jones Jr. We also have the also lovely
Chrystle Jones
back again for another video. And ladies and gentlemen, we were pulled over again by the police. But nonetheless, in it all, it happened to be an informative pullover experience, which is why we're doing this video. But then at the end of the day, we definitely wanted to share what all took place because it will help you as it did help us.
Yes.
Now, let me just paint the picture. Let me paint the scene of how it all took place. So Chrystle and I are driving on the way to the kids' school, which we usually don't do. Like, I drop the kids off, she picks them up. Like, that's just what it is. And this day, it just so happened to be that we in the car riding together. She's driving, I'm riding, and we're going about our way. However, we see like this upcoming traffic stop scenario where, you know, you have the cones blocking off the lanes and everybody going to one lane, police officers over there. What are they doing? Usually they're checking the disc, making sure your disc is up to date, and if so, you keep going about your way.
Right.
And so as we're pulling up, it's quite fun and entertaining because we're looking and we're like, man, like, look at the officers leaning into the vehicles.
Right.
Look like they having not like a whole picnic, but look like they chilling.
Relaxed, conversating.
Right. You know what I'm saying? You know how the arms all folded, like leaned in
the breeze.
to the driver's side. Like, what's going on? What is happening? And so as we're pulling up, we see all of that. And you know, we ain't worried about it at the end of the day because Chrystle also was like, this is another reason why I come this way, because usually there's not traffic stops on this particular road. Not because we're trying to avoid the police, but you know, it slows down what you're trying to do.
Right, because I'm going to get the kids. I'm trying not to be late. I literally like 2 days before I got stopped at a traffic. They waved me past, but it was like an extra 10 minutes on my commute because of all the traffic that built up. So that's more so why I avoid them, not because there's anything wrong, but just because I don't want to add all this extra time to my commute. Correct. And if you know, you know. Like, it's a delay that you don't want to have, it's inevitable because you're along the way. But nonetheless, here we are pulling up to our turn, right? And so as she said, she just went through one. I've not too long gone through one, so we didn't think anything of it. So it comes to our time. The police officer looks at our disc. Okay, subtle nod, looks up, look into the vehicle, and then upon doing so, waves us over. Come on over. But not only does he wave us over, but he go ahead and walk over. You know what I'm saying? Like, he already knew we was gonna do what we needed to do. And nonetheless, I try to like put my window down because, like I said, she's driving. However, I'm on the passenger side, so in trying to do so, I'm like prohibited because that morning, yesterday morning, the kids was all acting reckless, and so I just hit the child lock so they couldn't mess with the, and here I am, to lock myself from the capability of rolling down my window. Which is fine because the police is coming to talk to the driver, not the passenger.
That is true, but you know, I was just trying to have some man-to-man conversation, but because of the default of the child lock,
because he child locked himself. I did. It happened just like that fast. But nonetheless, here the police officer comes to Chrystle's side. And upon doing so, he asks, the standard question. May I see your license, please? Chrystle whips out the license, hands it to the officer, and he looks at it and all of those things. Then he proceeds to ask for the traffic register document. That's when it got interesting. Upon both of us, we said the what? Where did they keep that? What is that? What is it?
The traffic register.
Rickey leans all the way over. What is that?
Like, what? Because here we are. And nonetheless, like, he explains to us by showing us a documentation of what the traffic register document is. And he was like, this is a documentation that says that, hey, we know that you are a foreigner, you have a foreigner license. However, with this documentation, it allows for you to drive here, right? It links you to a vehicle here. It'll have your face on the documentation, and this will allow for us to know and have you in our system.
Yeah.
And he was also saying like it's the system where if you get any kind of ticket, it's gonna be linked
you can find it here and it's all linked together.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like he was giving us a spiel and we was like, oh, okay. But then not only that, he was telling us where to get the documentation. Like, you know, since we live in Santon, he was telling us the Marlboro location is ideal, but he was like, if that gets filled up because the queues can be kind of long, that maybe you should do the one in Waterfall.
Yeah.
And then so much so he started telling us the hours of the operation, right, of the traffic register place that we have to go to get this paperwork documentation. But then even letting us know like, hey, most often you should go ahead and book an appointment. Book an appointment ahead of time because the queues can be long. However, you can walk in, but at the end of the day, having this appointment is going to solidify your situation even if it's like pushed out. So we was like, okay, we'll make sure we have all of those things. But then at the same time, I was like, what else? But before you get nervous, right? So if you are visiting, you don't have to have this particular paperwork because you're in and out. Your license from wherever you are will be good to go. However, if you do look to stay here long term, you will need this documentation, right? So again, it's called the traffic register. And he proceeds to ask us for, well, not us, her for the documentation because she is driving. She did hand over the license, in which we were like, but
I was like, what is that? Where would that be?
Correct.
What are you talking about? Basically, is my whole sentiment.
Correct. And it's crazy because maybe like a week ago, Dr. Assad was telling me, hey, there's this document that you need to have in a vehicle. I was recently pulled over. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. With the idea that we're about to go renew our disc and all of that. So I was thinking that's the documentation that you need. Because that's the only thing that people have said to us, essentially, the dealership, that we needed. And
get the disc.
Correct.
Check.
Correct. And so it was fun because he was asking us for this information. It was obvious that we didn't have it, nor
confused.
Did we know anything about it because we were confused, like obviously genuinely confused because we were never told about it. And he was like, chill out, calm down, it's okay, right? Because, you know, he could tell like we was trying to figure it all out all at the same time.
Just the confusion. I think he was like, more, his saying chill out wasn't like an aggressive way. It was very much just like a, hey, it's okay. You don't have to worry. I will explain this because we were just so confused.
Correct. And asking all the questions because I'm taking notes. While he's speaking, I'm taking notes because I had one thing in mind that we needed to renew and do pertaining to the car. However, he gave us 3 things, okay?
Yes.
And one of them was the main thing, which is the traffic register. But side note, sidebar, shouts out to this police officer.
Yes.
I must say, he was the most nice, friendliest, informative police officer that I've ever come in contact with.
For sure.
Like, internationally.
Yeah, I know.
In life.
In the States, they say like police are supposed to protect and serve. And I feel like, I don't know if they say that here, but he definitely served us well during this traffic stop because we were so confused. And literally the dealership, nobody else gave us this information. And so, but he took time with us, like probably at least 20 minutes explaining everything because we had a lot of questions because we genuinely didn't know what he was talking about. We turned into one of those people that we were laughing at, talking about how they're having this full-blown conversation with the police officer. Here we are, however, with the great information and valuable information. So you may be wondering, if you're not from here, what is the traffic register? Well, simply put, it is the information that you will have with your foreign license that will give you authorization and put you in the system here in South Africa. So if you were to get pulled over or come into a traffic stop just as we did, you'll present your license and the traffic register paperwork, which will have your picture on it. It'll be connected to the vehicle that you have, that you own, that you operate, and you'll be good to go. It links you. It's like a way of linking your U.S. or foreign license to the South African driver's license system.
Boom shakalaka. So he was like, that's a way that you can go about it, or you can get a whole like license here if that's what you want to do. However, if not, the traffic register is what you need to be able to drive. So the question then came up, so is it just something that Chrystle needs, or is it something that I need? And he was like, no, every driver that drives a vehicle needs their own respective traffic register.
Yes.
And you need to keep it with you just as you keep your license with you. And I was like, okay, thank you very much, right? And so like we given the information because we received it. Thanks to this trustworthy, protecting and serving traffic cop, right? Well,
Officer Chris.
Okay, see, I won't go drop the name.
No, I asked him what is his name, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna shout you out, because he was so kind and so helpful.
He very much so was. And we'll talk about how much so at the end, but more than anything with that, he even told us like where to go and get it, because I was told that I need to go to the postnet to get it. He was like, no, you need to go to the traffic, that's the name of the thing, traffic register. But it's one close to us, Marlboro DLTC. Right, and then even told us like, hey, make sure when you go, take your passport, and you're gonna get an A4 document, but it's ideal to book online first so that you could just have something in the system, but you can't just walk up. Like, he was giving us all this information. He was like, sometimes it fills up, there's a backlog and a wait, so maybe you can go to the one in Waterfall. So I was like, oh,
giving us the hours that they're open, when they close, like everything, all the details that we needed.
He did, and he even told us the rush hour time, right? But no, he was in there. And again, shouts out to him. So that was, go ahead.
Well, and I was gonna say, and it was really helpful as well that he was saying they do take walk-ins technically, but it's better to book an appointment, because if they are too overwhelmed with whatever appointments have already been made, if you walk in, they could still just say, no, you have to come back because we are at our limit for walk-ins or whatever for the day. So it's still just best to make the appointment.
Yeah, no, so very true. And if you're looking at making a move to Johannesburg, South Africa, or South Africa in general, click that subscribe button. As you can see, we give the jewels and the gems of what it's like to be here and live here. And then outside of that, he said you need to make sure, or even your dealership should have given you a paper for the change of ownership. Now, this isn't something that you keep in the vehicle, but he was just like, make sure you have that document, and make sure you have the original of the document. And we were like, oh, okay, cool, like, what's up? He was like, because there has been cases where people have been sold a vehicle because we had to pay it outright, 100% of the vehicle, which we shared with our car buying experience. Check out that video if you haven't. However, he was like, upon purchasing the vehicle, the dealership should have given you that paperwork, the original copy of it, to say that you have it, because some cases where people were sold a vehicle, but essentially on documentation on paper in black and white, it says that you are renting the vehicle. So essentially a person may have thought they bought a vehicle, but on the paperwork that's circulating around town, it's only showing that you are renting the vehicle.
Right, not the owner.
Yeah. So he was like, not only should you have the paperwork, not only should you have the original copy, but you also want to make sure that it says that you are the owner of this vehicle. And I was like, thank you, sir. Like, thank you, because again, that was another thing. Like, we bought it. We bought it from a dealership, the actual dealership that manufactures the vehicle. And so we were like, oh, the thought is you do business with a dealership, all is well. So we didn't even look at it. However, we will. Okay, that is something we'll do.
I was gonna say, and I am grateful that we did buy our vehicle from an actual dealership. I don't think we will run into that issue. Definitely still want to make sure our paperwork is in order. But I know different people that we know that have moved here have bought vehicles from, whether it was private owners or, not the official dealerships. And I don't know if they know that they're supposed to be looking for this thing specifically in their paperwork. And so, obviously do whatever is best for you and your family, but especially hearing this, one, make sure you check the paperwork, but two, something that's probably gonna be helpful as well, go as straight and narrow as you can, as far as like renting from dealerships, renting from apartment complexes or whatever, like, just because as you're adjusting and learning the new way of life in South Africa, sometimes there's just a greater safety net in established companies versus individuals.
No, so very true. Like there's that, but then there's even the maintenance sides of things. Like we know when something oil change or anything takes place, we're gonna take it to the dealership, right?
Yeah.
There's warranties and things that you can get. Like just be protected, right? Just be protected. Do things above board, the narrow way going in, and you'll be happy that you did on the back end. But nonetheless, the third documents that he said we needed were a certificate of registration. Now that's something that you don't drive around with in the vehicle. However, that is something that you would get as well when you go to register a car and as well get your traffic register documentation, which I was like, thank you, sir. Like, boom, now we know all the different things that we will need, because again, like Chrystle said, we were having this conversation like we were on the way to somewhere. However, we just stopped and had this conversation, and Officer Chris was giving us all the information necessary, and like she said, even showing us pictures, telling us where to go, and making sure that we were comfortable. Website.
And I do want to ask you this question, just so we're making sure we're clear. These are 3 documents that you need in addition to that disc that's going to go in the window.
Correct. And so I will make sure we'll double back, right? Or if you're South African,
I'm thinking that's what you're definitely saying.
Okay.
I just want to make sure people know. One of the things that's talked about a lot is the disc.
Yeah.
But these are 3 things which your disc will let you drive around on the road. Like I said, I was surprised we got pulled, because I'm thinking normally they wave us through, because normally they just look at the disc.
Right.
And so, you know, your disc, which is the thing that people at the dealership and everything will talk about, will make you think, oh no, everything is in order, I'm fine. But then there's these other 3 documents that you need. So it's 4 things total that you really need to be legally on the road in South Africa.
Correct. And you may be thinking like, what is a disc? Well, as you're driving, there's like a circular disc paperwork scenario that sits on your dashboard, and so when you go into various neighborhoods, they will scan the disc to then let you in, as well as take pictures of your license. But then to Chrystle's point, police officers also look at it at these various traffic stops. Now what it correlates to is like in the States, how on our license plate we have the square,
sticker.
It's yellow sticker. I'm pretty sure it's yellow every state, but nonetheless it's a sticker that you renew every year as your registration, right? And so essentially you renew it here every year, or you can do it longer than that if you choose to do it, just like in the States. You can do it 1 year, 3 years. I think that's the limit. But nonetheless, that's what that is. It's your registration to let the government and the people know who is in ownership of this vehicle, essentially. And so, you know.
And I would say the thing that's different is, like, State's looking a little behind here. Like, we have that sticker that, you know, you get it, you put it on your car. There's like a barcode that's on that disc, and so they just scan it and it pulls up the information that lets the officer that scanned it, or whoever, if you're going in a neighborhood, know whatever information is pertinent connecting to you in that vehicle that is up to date. So it's an electronic version of that sticker.
Correct.
Yeah.
Boom shakalaka. And so like in the States, like you were saying, like an officer may be behind you and like run your tags to try to get information. Whereas here they can scan it.
They just gonna zap it. They ain't doing all that typing and all. They boop.
And what pulls up is what it is. However, again, those 3 documents is what you will need. And like I said, pertaining to Officer Chris, like he was awesome, right? He shared some information with us. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, just to backtrack, and I was gonna say that's actually, again, not to harp on buying from an actual dealership, but that made it very helpful, because even when he scanned it and he saw that we bought it from Toyota, it wasn't saying like, oh, you know, this vehicle actually belongs to Bobby. Like, well, you're not Bobby, like, you know. So it also made it easier in the fact that we're still transitioning some things, like that. Okay, they know we didn't take this car from Toyota, we didn't steal it, it's not reported stolen, like, so it just gave a little more grace, I would even say, to navigating the transitional process, versus if it's scanned and it literally just said it belonged to somebody else.
Right. So there's that protection there, right? There's that protection there. However, with Officer Chris, he was magnificent during the conversation, because it definitely was a conversation. He was letting us know all is well. Just, hey, let me show you this. Let me show you that. This is where you need to go. This is going to be helpful for you. And he even, in the conversation, shared how he was a child of God. And I was like, oh, cool, man. Thank you. Like, also, like, we know each other, right? We speak into each other's language, like we already know. And it even came to the point where he was like, how are you all liking Johannesburg and so forth and so on. And we were like, man, we love it. We've had people here, they've loved it as well. And somehow or another it came out where he was from, which is Limpopo. Yeah. It was like, oh, snap, like a lot of people are from Limpopo, and we want to go to Limpopo. He was like, oh, for real? What you want to do in Limpopo? He was like, I don't know. What is there to do? Chrystle was like, I want to eat, I want to explore, and I want to eat. Because I like to eat. And so he was having fun with that, but even giving us different places that we should go to and check out. Of course, Kruger National Park is close to Limpopo. Told us of a river that is in between like 3 different countries. So it was like informative and good all at the same time.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He mentioned that there's a place where you can go and visit. There's a river that divides 3 countries. And I was like, can you stay like right there? Like, and so he was giving a lot of information for that. And I was like, I definitely want to do that. Sounds amazing and beautiful. And so anyways, as well, people say Limpopo is like such a beautiful place. So I'm now very much looking forward to seeing different things that he was mentioning. You got to do this, you got to do that. So yeah, super excited.
Shouts out to Officer Chris, like came through. And you know, I even asked when it came down to the fact that we didn't have the paperwork that we needed, and we didn't have or know of the other ones. I was like, okay, so is it that we're gonna get a ticket? Like, how does this work? And he was like, it's truly up to the discretion of the officer. And I could tell that you all didn't know about the information or the paperwork that I was asking you for. And so I'm gonna let you go. Make sure you get the documentation. Make sure you do what you need to do
this week.
Right, make sure you do what you need to do. But I will let you go this time. And of course we said thank you, gave him, you know, appreciation by saying thank you and letting him know like we truly appreciate it. We'll make sure we get the information and documentation that is required and necessary for us to operate these roads legally, right? Because we definitely do everything above board at the end of the day. And so it was awesome. Shouts out to Officer Chris. And it was a great experience. Like, we were pulled to the side, but we were informed to the side. And of course we wanted to share that information with you all.
So yeah, like Ricky said, it was awesome. I think it was great. And as even Officer Chris said, sometimes in any field, in any country, there can be people that try to do things that are not particularly above board, but that's not necessarily the voice of the masses and of them all. And so definitely as we continue to share our journey, we wanted to highlight just how amazing our interaction was with this police officer. Helped give us information that nobody else was giving us. And so we're truly grateful.
So very true. And he was even making it clear and known that, hey, we're people up under these uniforms at the end of the day. And so we were like, you're right, like, and each and every person is uniquely different. And so to her point and to the points that's been made, we wanted to highlight Officer Chris and the great man that he is, right, and the information that he gave that will allow for us all to be legal out here in these Joburg streets. So in it all with it all, make sure y'all stay tuned. Make sure you lock in, subscribe to the channel if you're not already done so. Smash that like button for Officer Chris and the great man that he is. And make sure you go get your information, right? Get your documentation, because at the end of the day, we all want to be legal out here in Johannesburg, South Africa. So until next time, great people, we love you all and we appreciate you all. Peace.